Andreas, how is the situation now in Berlin? So it seems to be the very core of Europe now in terms of contemporary art. I would like to know your opinion about Berlin, and also if you have the possibility and if you want, compare it to what is happening in Europe.
I think being in Berlin and watching, like what is happening here, I cannot help but notice that there's a big part of the art world that is just carrying on and is doing business as usual. And I think this doesn't have so much to do with the big galleries as much as even just like the little galleries and all of the, kind of small scale projects that are running, because they are not affected. They don't see it like that. They don't see that something is happening to them. They're all very happy in their little Berlin bubble, and they're not realizing that something is happening that is threatening them as much as anybody else. At the same time, of course, there is also something which I think, well, let's put it like this: there is a strong and an interesting movement that has to do with things like the reaction of many artists to the Based in Berlin exhibition 2 years ago, which was supposed to be like an overview of what was happening in Berlin at the moment, focusing on younger emerging artists, and was something that the mayor of Berlin actually instigated, also in a very obvious attempt to win over some, cultural people for his campaign running for mayor for next term again, which he successfully did. But the reaction in some parts of the art world was very interesting in the sense that a public letter was written called Haben und Brauchen, so what we have and what we need. And this letter was saying, well, wouldn't it be better to, concentrate less on having a kind of a big spectacular show with young emerging artists, but rather, take care that the financing of existing projects works and that these projects stay in some way or keep on working and are made, are enabled to keep on working. And this, I think, was a very good background for the last Berlin biennial that Chmielewski did, and which, of course, everybody slagged off as being a terrible exhibition, and maybe rightfully so, because it wasn't a very good exhibition. But it was, of course, very good because it was raising a lot of very interesting questions about where art is going to be in society. And so even though, like on a, if we apply the ideas that we usually use to find out if something is a success or not, then we would have to say, well, it was not a success. Everybody seemed to have hated it. But, like now, not even a year later, just several months later, really, I think, you can actually see that it has given some kind of impetus to a more to politicizing the art scene. And so I think on this level, you will find a lot of people who are engaging critically with a political dimension. But then, as I said before, I think this is a small minority, unfortunately, and the structures that we have here, they are focusing more and more on on catering to a market. Yeah. So, I mean, to many markets. Like I think not only to an art market, but also, you know, on this level of an economy of attention, and even on the level of a market of, you know, education, you know, art education. But so I mean, I think this is kind of a really good example of you know, post democracy. I think that is exactly what we are seeing there.
And so you're saying that somehow the system there, the arts, the cultural and art system there, doesn't feel the crisis at all.
No, I don't think they don't feel the crisis at all. I think, you know, like we have, I mean, Berlin is still has developed into this crazy thing where you have 500 galleries and you can count maybe 10,000 or 20,000 artists who live here. Yeah. So then I think maybe, you know, like then you have a certain percentage of these artists who don't feel much of an effect of this crisis, because they're either on the top level or they're on the bottom level. And of course, like those on the top level aren't very many. Yeah, we know them, we know their names. And then on the lower level, they're just a lot of people, and they're just getting by on a day-to-day basis. So they're just wiggling through on their level and hope to get to the top-notch gallery. So for them, it doesn't seem to matter. So of this kind of lower level, I know my hierarchy is nearly as bad as saying A and B countries in Europe. I'm quite aware of that, but I think on this level, if people stay in Berlin a lot, and they just stay inside of this bubble, where you know, you can be quite safe. You know, if you're a little bit, you're kind of too low. You know, you're not, your head is not poking out enough of the you know, of the pile. I think there's also another thing, which has a lot to do with the way Berlin has changed in the last probably, you know, like 5 or 6 years, where Berlin has become extremely attractive to an international group of artists. And of course it's fantastic. You know, for me as a critic, it is unbelievable, you know, as most of my work is writing about art. I'm kind of shocked at how little I have to travel. Sometimes I discover the work of an artist and I'm really interested in what she or he is doing, and I find out their name and I write them and I ask them where they are, and then they're in the neighborhood. So I can just go down the stairs and meet them at the coffee house around the corner. Yeah. So this is something that happens a lot. And of course that's very nice. But on the other hand, what I can't help noticing, especially what makes it, of course, really easy to notice is like social networks like Facebook or something, where you see, where, you know, like I have a lot of Facebook friends, and many of them are young artists, and they always invite me to lots of stuff. And then later on I see the pictures of where they've been. But when I see these pictures, I notice many of these artists are always the same ones. And they're all this kind of international clique, you know, many different international cliques, groups of people, but who are very often just staying within their own little network of young international people. I'm not saying that it's bad. I just think this is, you know, this is a situation where it's very hard for me to imagine that something, you know, is going to develop out of, you know, that would have some kind of influence. But then again, of course, I think we'll have to remember that, you know, it is not up to the arts to create to physically implement something into society. This is still something that we need to leave to politics, and it's good to be left to politics. But it is, I think, necessary to make your interests felt and to, you know, make them visible and show that they are there.